Most people believe manipulation is obvious: screaming, explicit blackmail, clear threats. It's not. Real manipulation is silent, subtle, and everyday. It happens far away from dramatic scenes, infiltrating common conversations, seemingly innocent requests, and agreements you accept without even realizing it. It shows up at the office when you take the blame for things that aren't your fault. In a group of friends when you're walking on eggshells just to avoid upsetting someone. In the family when keeping the peace means swallowing your own discomfort. Someone being manipulated almost never feels trapped. They rarely realize they're being controlled. There are no visible chains. Instead, there's a constant sense of obligation. The person believes they are being understanding, loyal, or mature, when in reality, they are being trained to sustain someone else's emotional chaos. If you find yourself apologizing for mistakes you didn't make, doubting your own memory after certain conversations, or distancing yourself from those you love just to avoid conflict, that isn't emotional maturity. It's a major red flag.
In this video, we are going to reveal the 3 clearest behavioral signs that you are in a relationship of psychological dominance. You will understand how constant guilt, gaslighting, doubting your own sanity, and social isolation operate as tools of power. We aren't just talking about jealous boyfriends. We're talking about that friend who always makes you feel like you owe them, or the coworker who subtly shifts their mistakes onto your tab. Psychology explains that these behaviors aren't accidental. They are strategies of identity erosion. The manipulator's goal is to make you lose confidence in yourself, making you dependent on the version of reality they create. The first big sign is feeling constant guilt. In a healthy relationship, no matter what kind, mistakes are discussed and responsibility is shared. If something goes wrong, both parties analyze what happened. But in a manipulative relationship, the scales are tipped. You feel a disproportionate amount of guilt for almost everything that goes wrong, from a delay in a project to your partner's bad mood. The manipulator skillfully avoids taking responsibility for their actions. They are a master of blame shifting. They might even use the word sorry, but it's always followed by a poisonous but that tosses the ball back into your court. Work example. I'm sorry I yelled, but you know I get worked up when you don't deliver the report exactly how I like it. Translation, I yelled, but it's your fault for not being perfect. Friendship example. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but you're just too sensitive and don't get my jokes. Translation, I was cruel, but the problem is your sensitivity. What do you do in response? You apologize. Excessively. You ask for forgiveness for being upset. You apologize for provoking the shouting. You feel a constant, exhausting need to prove your worth, to compensate for the other person, to walk on eggshells to avoid a negative reaction. This chronic guilt isn't natural. It was implanted. It's the virus the manipulator installed in your operating system to ensure you're always working to please them, while they never have to work to please you.
The second sign, and perhaps the most dangerous of all, is when you start doubting your own perception of reality. This tactic is technically known in psychology as gaslighting. The term comes from an old play, and later a movie called Gaslight, where a husband manipulated the gas-powered lights in the house to make them flicker. When the wife noticed and complained, he insisted the lights were normal and that she was hallucinating. The goal wasn't just to lie about the lights, it was to convince the wife that she was going insane. In real life, a manipulator does exactly this with facts, memories, and feelings. They rewrite history in real time. They use classic phrases like, "That never happened," "You're imagining things," "You're too sensitive," "You're getting paranoid," or "You got it all wrong as usual." This isn't just a simple lie. It is a systematic attack on the victim's confidence in their own senses and judgment. In the workplace, this can be devastatingly subtle. Imagine you agreed on a deadline with your boss. You are certain it was for Friday. On Thursday, he aggressively demands, "Where is that report? I clearly said it was due today." You try to argue. He responds with a pitying sigh. "You've been so scattered lately. I was very clear. I'm starting to worry about your performance." You go back to your desk, not just afraid of being fired, but afraid that you're losing your mind. You start writing everything down, recording conversations, and doubting your own cognitive competence. In friendships or family relationships, gaslighting often attacks the validity of your feelings. If you say, "I felt sad about what you said," the manipulator responds, "I was just joking. You have no sense of humor. You see malice in everything." Little by little, the victim loses their internal reference point. Their reality thermometer breaks. They stop trusting what they see, what they hear, and worst of all, what they feel. The end result is total dependency. The person begins to need the manipulator to interpret the world for them. Should I be offended by this? Let me ask him first. When you have to consult your abuser to know if the pain you feel is real or imaginary, the dominance is complete. You've handed over the keys to your mind.
The third unequivocal sign that you are being dominated is the progressive isolation from friends and family. For a manipulator, your support system is the single greatest threat to their authority. Friends, parents, and coworkers act as reality mirrors. They are the people who truly know you and can say, "Hey, this isn't normal, you're changing," or "He shouldn't talk to you that way." They validate your perception and strengthen your identity. Therefore, to maintain total control over your mind, the manipulator needs to strategically shatter these mirrors. They rarely do this through direct prohibitions. "I forbid you from seeing your mother," as that would sound too abusive and could spark rebellion. Instead, they act surgically and subtly by manipulating your perception. They begin to plant seeds of distrust. "Don't you see your friend is jealous of you? Your family never really supported us," or "They don't want us to see us happy." They create conflict or discomfort whenever you're about to meet other people, so that you begin to associate hanging out with friends with having problems at home. The manipulator uses emotional blackmail as a weapon. "If you really loved me, you'd stay with me today instead of going to your dad's house. I needed you and you left me all alone just to see your mother." Gradually, exhausted from constantly defending your loved ones and wanting to avoid the fatigue of fights and the cold shoulder, you begin to give in. You decline invitations, you stop responding to messages, you distance yourself. The isolation becomes both physical and emotional. You stop sharing your problems with family or friends because the manipulator has convinced you that no one understands our connection or that you shouldn't air your dirty laundry. The result is the creation of a psychological desert island inhabited only by you and them. In this closed ecosystem, their power of influence becomes absolute. Without external voices to offer a counterpoint, their version of reality becomes the only truth. You become increasingly dependent on them for validation, support, and even for knowing who you are. When a crisis hits, you look around and realize with terror that you've burned all your bridges, and the only boat available is being steered by the very person who is drowning you.
The cumulative and devastating effect of this strategic isolation goes far beyond mere physical loneliness. It results in the dissolution of identity. When you are systematically cut off from your social roots, friends, family, hobbies, interest groups, you lose the external reference points that helped define who you were.
You stop being that funny friend from college or the daughter who loves movies and become exclusively so-and-so's partner or so-and-so's right hand. Your autonomous identity withers from a lack of social nourishment, and it's replaced piece by piece by the identity the manipulator has projected onto you. You start adopting their tastes, wearing the clothes they approve of, repeating their political opinions, and even hating the people they hate. Not because you genuinely agree, but because the dissonance and conflict have become so exhausting that your brain has chosen assimilation as a survival strategy. It is easier to be a mirror for the manipulator than to be a separate person who is constantly punished for being one. This toxic fusion creates total dependency. Emotionally, you become unable to regulate your mood without their intervention. If they are happy, you are relieved. If they are angry, you are panicked. Your internal stability has been outsourced. Intellectually, you lose confidence in your ability to make decisions. You feel like you need their consultation or permission for everything, from buying a pair of shoes to changing jobs. Often, this dependency extends to your finances. The manipulator may have subtly sabotaged your career, like, "This job stresses you out too much, you should quit," or "I'll take care of the bills," stripping away your financial autonomy. The manipulator has built, brick by brick, a reality where leaving the relationship feels literally like leaving life itself. The victim's recurring thought is, "What will I do without them? I am nothing. I have no one." It is crucial to understand that this thought is not a truth. It is the most acute symptom of psychological captivity. It is the manipulator's voice echoing inside your head, trying to convince you that you are incapable of flying, right after they have clipped your wings.
The first step to breaking free from the web isn't running away, it's seeing. You need to name what is happening. Stop calling it jealousy, call it control. Stop calling it care, call it isolation. Stop calling it just a joke, call it gaslighting. When you call things what they really are, the spell is broken. You realize that the mental confusion you feel isn't you being crazy, it's the result of a tactic being used against you. The second step is setting firm boundaries. The manipulator hates boundaries. They will test them. They will play the victim. "You've changed. You don't love me anymore." You need to stand your ground. "I won't accept you speaking to me that way. I am going to visit my parents today, and that is non-negotiable. I know what I saw, and I'm not going to argue about my memory with you." These phrases are shields. You don't need to convince the manipulator that they are wrong. They will never admit it. You only need to convince yourself that you are right. I'll repeat that. You don't need to convince the manipulator that they are wrong, because they will never admit it. You only need to convince yourself that you are right. If the pattern is deep-seated, seeking professional help is vital. A psychologist is an ally the manipulator cannot control. Therapy is the place where you rebuild your reality piece by piece. It's where you relearn how to trust your gut and see your value outside of the distorted mirror the other person held up for you.
Ultimately, leaving a manipulative relationship, whether it's romantic, family-related, or professional, is a heroic act of rescue. You are saving the most authentic version of yourself, the one that was silenced and diminished to fit into someone else's box. The process of reclaiming your autonomy is not linear. There will be days when you miss the security of dependency, and days when guilt tries to creep back in. But as you rebuild your social bridges, you will discover a comforting truth. The people who truly love you didn't leave. They were just waiting outside the wall. By reconnecting with friends and family, you'll realize you weren't alone because you were unworthy of love. You were alone because you were blindfolded. Reclaiming your self-esteem and trust in your own perception takes time, but the feeling of being the master of your own mind again is priceless. You don't need to prove anything to the manipulator. You don't need to win the final argument. Your happiness, your mental health, and your success away from them are the greatest proofs that the problem was never you. Remember, having peace is better than being right. And now, I have to ask you a difficult question. Are you that person? Do you recognize yourself in these signs of guilt, doubt, and isolation? Or do you know someone, a friend, a sister, a colleague who is going through exactly this right now and can't see it? Identifying the pattern is the first step toward breaking it. Don't ignore the discomfort you felt while watching this video. That discomfort is your intuition screaming that something needs to change.
Today, we unmasked the 3 clear and dangerous signs of psychological dominance. The constant guilt that doesn't belong to you, the gaslighting that makes you doubt your sanity, and the social isolation that leaves you vulnerable. We saw that this isn't love, it's not friendship, it's not leadership, it's pure, simple, and destructive control. If this video shed light on the dark corners of your relationship, or if it gave you the words to explain what you're feeling, leave a like. It's a digital sign that you are seeing the truth and taking back your power. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. We'll keep talking about how to protect yourself from toxic dynamics and build a free life every single week. Share this video in your groups. If you know someone who is trapped, this video might be the key they've been missing. And I want to challenge you in the comments, if it's safe for you. What was the phrase someone used to try to make you doubt your own memory? Are you crazy? That never happened? Write it below. Let's bring these tactics into the light of day so they lose their power. Thanks for watching. Trust your gut. See you next time.